Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a full face of my most used makeup products from 2024. So I went through my collection and picked out things that I felt that I definitely reached for the most this year. So some of them were newer launches, some of them are not, and I figured we could just do a full face, chat about them, and you can let me know in the comments what your most used products were from the year. So that is today's video, and if you are new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on my channel. I would love for you to subscribe, and let's get into the video. Let's get started with primer. Now, sometimes I use primer, sometimes I don't. As a lot of you know, I have a lot of issues with primers. I find that they do more harm than good with my makeup a lot, but if I had to say a primer that I used quite a bit this year, it would absolutely be this one, the Iconic London Underglow Blurring Primer. This was my most used by far. Of all the primers I have, of all the ones that I've tried, if I had to pick one, it would probably be this one. I also like the Rare Beauty Primer, but this one is my favorite. This one adds a lot of moisture and a little bit of glow, and it also just kind of provides like a slight smoothing quality to it. It's not blurring. I know they call it blurring. I don't know that I would say it blurs the pores or anything like that, but my skin does feel more like smooth and ready for makeup after using this. But I don't know how blurring I think it is. But I really enjoy this, and it does not interfere with my other products, which is like my #1 criterion when I'm looking for a primer. So this is absolutely my most used from the year. This one came out, it's been a few years now. I feel like no one really talks about it anymore, but I really do like this one. One more prep product that I cannot forget is, of course, this from Ole Henriksen. I've talked about this so many times at this point. This is the Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment, and this is the best lip treatment, okay? I'm telling you, it's the best. It's better than Laneige. It's better than Summer Fridays, although I do love both of those. I just think there's something about this one. It has a thickness to it. I feel like my lips look like more smooth in general. Like if you have a lot of lines in your lips, after I've applied this, like 5 minutes later, my lips just look better overall. They look smooth, they look more plump, they look hydrated. This stuff is amazing. This is actually one of the new ones that has shimmer in it. It's the original with shimmer, but I'm probably gonna use this one. This is just the original. I already have a little bit on from earlier today, but I'm just gonna put a little bit more on. I have every flavor of this now, every scent, I should say. I have the original, I have the strawberry sorbet, I have the Anina Bing collab they did, I have the cocoa one somewhere around here. I have, now I have the original in the shimmer. Just trust me, they're amazing. For foundation, this could have gone a few different ways, but the one that I went for is the one that, if I had to pick one that I think I have used the most, it's Armani Luminous Silk. This year, I kind of rediscovered this product. Now, I have a few of them sitting here. I have a shade 5 and a shade 4.75. If you watched a few videos ago, I did a makeup haul. I shared some things I bought at the end of the Sephora sale, and this was one of them. It's Armani Luminous Silk, but it's in the mini size in 4.75 because I have 2 shade 5s, okay? Armani sent me a shade 5, and I already had a shade 5. Sorry, I've already told this once, so you've probably heard this before. But anyway, the one that Armani sent me, I swear, is warmer than shade 5 used to be. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like going crazy. I don't know, but that is the new shade 5. And I just feel like it's warmer than it used to be. So today we're gonna try mixing 4.75 and 5 and see what we think. But every time I've gone to use shade 5, the newer one, I just feel like the color is different. So anyways, we're gonna mix these two today and see what happens. But this is like my no-fail foundation. When I want my makeup to look really good and I'm doing it for like more than just like an everyday kind of makeup, although this is a great everyday foundation because it's so light. This is what I'll go for. Earlier this year, I went to Sephora and this was the foundation that I wore to that. So I just know that it'll look good and I don't really have to think about it. So I definitely reached for this time and time again this year. And I feel like I had definitely kind of neglected it in the past. I always liked it, but I don't know why this year in particular. It's like it just started working really, really well for my skin all of a sudden, and now it's like a top favorite for me. All right, I actually do think that shade mixed together is pretty good. I can get away with either shade. I don't know, shade 5, I haven't been loving it as much on its own lately, so that's why I went for 4.75. But as always, this looks so good. It's so pretty. It has a little bit of glow, but it's not oily or anything like that. It's a very natural skin looking glow, and it just looks really nice on my skin. So that has definitely been a most used product for sure. Now let's move into Corrector. This I pulled out 2 because I know I've used these 2 a ton. So I'll quickly kind of talk about both. Caliray Hideaway Brightening Concealer Corrector. This was in my top 10 launches of the year. I have also reached for this one, the Huda Faux Filter Corrector in Cherry Blossom, so often. But the problem is I find myself not wanting to use this solely because of the packaging. Because every single time you use this, it just makes a mess. It leaks out the sides, it starts coming out the side, and in my drawer, it gets all over everything. So it makes me not want to use this, but it's a great corrector. It really is. So I haven't used it as much as the Caliray one, but since I use Caliray quite a bit, I used it in my top 10 video that I was talking about. We're gonna use this one, but just know that if you buy this, it's a great product, but it makes a mess. It makes a mess. This one is also a great product, but it does not make a mess. But this one, I wear the shade Cool Sunrise. This is Cherry Blossom. Cherry Blossom is very, very pink. This is more of a peachy tone. I can get away with either. The Cherry Blossom shade is very unique in this corrector. So that's the one reason I would pick that one is the shade. But it does unfortunately have really, really bad packaging. I'm just gonna blend that in with the N14, which is fitting for this video because I have barely used anything for my under eyes but this in the last like 6 months. For concealer, this was pretty easy. This was my most used concealer in 2023, and it is my most used concealer in 2024. And it's Natasha Denona. I have a few shades of this. I've talked about this so many times, I don't even know what to say about it anymore other than I reach for this consistently over everything else in my collection, and I have for over a year now. It's just my favorite. It is full coverage, very thin under the eyes. As long as you don't over apply, it's very natural looking to me. Now it does have a lot of coverage, so if you don't like a lot of coverage, I wouldn't recommend this one for you, but it is so good. It is so good. And like I said, when I want my makeup to look as good as it can, this is the concealer that I'm reaching for, like without even thinking. I like this shade for my under eyes. This one is RN3. So it's neutral, but it has a little bit of a rosier undertone, which works well for my under eyes. but I love the shade in 2 for my face to add additional coverage in areas that I need it. In 2 is a really great neutral undertone, and that's one thing I will say about Natasha Denona's concealer. The shade range is impeccable, but her in shades are true neutral undertones, and that is so incredibly hard to find in foundations and concealers. Hers are actually neutral, and that makes me love it even more. I wish more brands had true neutral undertones, but a lot of them do not. A lot of them claim to be neutral and they lean warm or yellow. But this one is just top notch. All right, I'm just using my same foundation brush. Oh no, I should have used, I have the new BK Beauty brushes and I just remembered. I should have used them. Oh well. Those will be coming probably in the next video that you see. I did get that brush set in PR. I'm just blending with the N14 again. One thing about this concealer for sure is a little bit stretches a very long way. So you don't need to like cover your entire under eye with this product, as it really does stretch and move. So keep that in mind if you've never used it before, but it also works even better in my opinion if you apply it on your face and then leave it for, I don't know, like a minute and a half, and then start blending. That helps get you even more coverage if that's what you're wanting. And it will kind of help you use less of the concealer also, because you won't really need more, because you're kind of allowing it to warm up on the skin, so you retain more of the coverage when you start to blend it out. All right, moving into bronzer, or cream bronzer, I should say. This was also pretty easy. It has to be the Makeup by Mario products. Now, this one came out this year. This one's been out for a few years. I use them both consistently. I guess this year, if I had to pick, I would say I use this one more just because it was a newer product. So we'll use this today, but this is the Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum, and it's wonderful. Just like the Skin Enhancer, this one is a little bit more oily skin friendly. They're both amazing and I highly recommend both. I'm just gonna use another 106 to blend. But like, do you see that? It just blends so seamlessly. I mean, it's crazy. The Skin Enhancer does too, but this one is different from the Skin Enhancer because it's not balmy. It doesn't have that kind of oily texture to it like the Skin Enhancer does. So this one really does like actually set down on the skin, whereas the Skin Enhancer does stay a little bit balmy. So it's better for oily, or it's better for dry skin types. This is a more like sheer product. So as you can see, like you're not gonna get intense pigment from this, which I personally like about it. Because this is a great everyday type of product for me, unless you're wanting to really sculpt your face and get that really defined, like contoured kind of look. You're not really going to get that with this product. You can build it up a little bit, but this is going to be a much softer wash of color. For blush, I could have chosen a few different things here, but realistically, my most used blush has to be this one because it is. This is the blush I reach for all the time. All the time when I'm not filming and I'm doing like a full face of makeup, I use this. This is Patrick Ta in Not Too Much. This is one of the colors he released earlier this year, and it is beautiful. Usually I do powder first, but I think I'm just gonna do the cream first today. But this shade is perfect. It is exactly what the name says, not too much. It is the perfect kind of rosy nude, and I love it. I reach for this all the time. It's a really good, pretty neutral tone, so it goes with everything, and I love the Patrick Ta blush formula, as I'm sure you know. My most used from Patrick Ta used to be She's That Girl, which is a brighter, like warmer pink. I still use that one, but this one has kind of replaced that one. I'm gonna take a little bit of the powder from Not Too Much now, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of that over the cream. I'm using this Morphe brush, by the way. It's the A22. It's really, really fluffy, so you don't get a ton of the blush, which is nice with the Patrick Ta blushes because they are pretty pigmented. All right, for powder, it would have to be one of these two. So Makeup by Mario and Makeup Forever. I was using this the most earlier in the year. In the later part of the year, I was using this one. I've used the Makeup by Mario a ton recently, so maybe we should switch it up and use this one this time. But this is the loose powder from Makeup Forever in Corrective Rose, which is just a really light, like beigey tone. They say it's rosy, but it's basically like a fair powder with like the slightest bit of a fair beige undertone. I'm gonna use this Sephora powder puff, and I'm gonna kind of work the powder into the puff before I go in and apply this. I do think the Mario powder is a little bit more finely milled than this one. So I would say the Mario is a little bit more of like an everyday kind of powder for me. This one's just like slightly heavier. Most similar, I would say, to like the Huda powder. I am also taking that powder and setting under my eyes as well. Before we move into brows, I have actually used this bronzer a ton this year, and this is obviously not a new product. It's been around for a while, but I kind of rediscovered it this year, the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer. This one is shade Nude Bronze Light. I'm gonna take just a little bit of this, not much at all, on my cheeks, and then kind of bring some down my neck. For brows, I don't think this will shock anyone. This is by far my most used brow product, the Maybelline Build-A-Brow. I have basically had to force myself to use another product this year once I discovered this. This was released this year, but I want to say it was earlier in the year, but it is a definite favorite. The only other thing that I have been doing, I don't do it all the time, but I do it sometimes when I use the Maybelline, is before I go in with it, I'll take my brow pencil, which is the NYX one in Cool Ash Brown, and I'll kind of do like a rough outline of like the top and the bottom, especially like here where I have this sparse area, and I'll kind of outline it like that, and then we'll go in with the brow pen. But a lot of days, if I don't want to do that and spend that time doing it, I just use the Build-A-Brow. And now I'm gonna take the Build-A-Brow and just start drawing in little hair-like strokes. And it just gives the like prettiest, most natural looking fluffy brow. I love it. And then most of the time I just use the brow gel that comes on the other end to set them in place. All right, moving into eyes. For eye primer, it's always one of these two, the Rare Beauty or the Sigma eyeshadow base. We're gonna use the Sigma one today. This one is in the shade Persuade. It's just kind of like my skin tone kind of color. It's very similar to Painterly from MAC. And I'm just going to blend that all over with the 206 brush from BK Beauty. This is another brush I use all the time. It's just like a fluffier, like shader brush. It has like longer bristles, so you can apply shadow like on your lid, like a typical shader with this, but you can also use the tip of the bristles and really blend with it too. Very similar to the MAC 217, which I also love. For eyeshadow, I pulled out two things because I use both of these a lot. The first is Makeup by Mario, the Master Mattes with the neutrals. This is the one that came out early in the year. It just has every single matte eyeshadow that I could ever need. But the other thing that I have reached for over and over and over and over and over is this little Chantecaille Cheetah Trio. I love this so much. It is so cute and just pretty, obviously, but it's so easy. These are the tones that I love and I use and I wear. So I reach for this quite a bit. Honestly, we might just use Chantecaille today because I love this little trio so much. All right, what I normally do is mix these two. So this kind of bone color and this brown. I usually take a little bit of both shades and apply them in the crease. And the reason I mix them is because this brown in this palette on its own, if I go in like heavier with it, it's pretty deep on me. So unless that's like the look that I'm going for, I will usually mix it. But if you have a deeper skin tone, the medium brown would probably be fine on its own for you. But for me, I like something really light and soft, so I often mix them. And I applied those with the Rephr 15 brush. And then I will usually take a more tapered brush. So like this one, this is the 202 from BK Beauty. Now I'll go into the brown on its own. And I'll apply just a little bit of that in the outer corner, like not much at all. Just to get a little bit of that depth in the outer corner, but not a ton. And once I've got those, just go back in with my first brush and just kind of feather over everything. And then my favorite shade is this beautiful topper down here. And I typically just use my finger and just apply this all over the lid. So in the inner corner and over to the center, and then I'll kind of like tap it up a little bit as well. And it's just such a good neutral everyday eye look for me. I'm gonna take a little bit of the two matte shades again and just put those on the bottom lash line. We can't do a video like this without eyeliner because I have used these so much this year. The Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal eyeliners, I have almost all of them at this point. These two are the two I use the most, and they are Cocoa, which is just a really deep chocolate brown, and cinnamon. Cinnamon is, oh my goodness, this is such a beautiful brown. It's like a warm, bronzy, slightly metallic looking brown, but this, I love this product so much. So I'm going to use this on the top lash line, and I'm going to line really just to the center of the eye and out for my eye shape. And then I'll use the 208 brush from BK Beauty, just a really tiny angled brush, and do just a little bit of a wing. And then one last thing, I'm going to take Cocoa, which is the dark brown, and I'm going to apply that in the waterline. Curling my lashes. This lash curler I use every time I put mascara on. I never really switch it up. This is the Surratt lash curler. So I curl that side. Now for mascara, there are two that I've used the most. One would be e.l.f. Lash and Roll, of course. That is a holy grail favorite. But the other one is absolutely this one, which is Lisa Eldridge Kitten Lash Mascara. I got this a while ago, and my tube is still going strong, but it's just a really basic rubber, slightly curved wand. But this mascara is so good. It is so good, and I don't hear hardly anyone talk about it, but it's so good, especially if you like a more lengthening and separating mascara. This one is really, really good. Only thing that would make this better is if it came in brown. You knew I was going to say it. I think every mascara should come in brown personally, but I still love it, even though it's not brown. Finally, moving into the lips. For lip liner, this is so hard because I have so many lip liners. I love lip liner, and I have quite a few that I've used a lot this year. The Maybelline lifter liners, again, top notch, love these. I use these two the most, On It and Line Leader. These are creamy, they're long lasting, they're affordable, they're great. The Makeup by Mario lip liners, especially in the shade Almond, I love. But the one I want to use today is actually this one, because I've rediscovered this shade in particular this year. This is the Anastasia lip liner in Deep Taupe. And it is just, I don't really know how to describe this shade. It is a taupe, but it's not so gray. Some taupes, like Endless Cacao, for example, from like Makeup Forever, that's super, super gray, cool toned. This one is just a perfect contouring type shade without being too much. So there is Deep Taupe. Just such a perfect color. And I've had this for a few years, but I just kind of rediscovered the shade this year. So that absolutely had to be in here. Now for lip products, the first thing that has to be here, now this is kind of cheating because I did get this later in the year, but I can't stop using this lipstick now, so I feel that it should be in this video, and it's from Patrick Ta. It's his matte lipstick formula in the shade Blushing. And this color is absolutely perfection. It's nude, but it has a little bit of like a mauve-y tone to it. It's so good. It's so, so good. It is matte, but his matte formula is a pretty comfortable matte. But for me personally, I always pair it with a gloss, so it doesn't really matter for me, but that color is perfect. And then the other thing that I pulled out here has to be this from Edam. These are the Le Chou Chou Lip Softening Balms. I got these really early in the year. I got them in PR. This brand was a new brand to Sephora, and I didn't really have any expectations because I didn't know anything about the brand, but this is such a fantastic product. It honestly kind of reminds me of the Ole Henriksen Pout Preserve, but this one is, what would I say about it? Not quite as thick as the Ole Henriksen. The Ole Henriksen is better for like a lip treatment type product. This is just a really good hydrating lip product for every day. It's fantastic. And I have all the shades, but this is the one I use the most, which is Burnt Malai. It's a really good neutral. It also has this metal tip applicator, so it's always cold when it goes on your lips. So good. Highly, highly recommend these from Edom. All right, this is the final look. These are all the products that I have used over and over and over again this year. I love them. These are just the standouts for me, the things that I knew that I just constantly want to reach for. Some of them were newer things, some of them weren't, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I would love to know in the comments what product or products, if you want to share multiple products, you used the most out of everything this year. I would love to know whether they're new or they're old products. It doesn't matter. I would love to know what you've been reaching for in 2024. Thank you so much for watching. I will have all the products listed in the description box with links as always, and in YouTube shopping. If you do shop through my links, I do make a commission that supports my channel. And if you are new, I would love for you to subscribe and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you.